Hey there, welcome back to another Nomad Rundown. Today we're going to be going through the move and drag tools and better understand their differences and how you can use them to make your sculpts. Let's start with a new Nomad scene and jump right into sculpting, starting with the move tool. The move tool is a great way to adjust shapes in your sculpt without losing the surface details that you've been working on. The move tool can guide your forms in all directions, both inwards and outwards, up and down. It's not limited by linear movement, so you can get really extreme with your moves and really start to stretch out your shapes. It's a really easy way to start to block out your overall form and alter the silhouette of your design at a basic level. As you move along with your sculpt, it will become an essential tool for tweaking details and refining that silhouette further. The tool works simply, stretching your mesh in the direction that you pull it. Let's zoom in here and take a closer look at how this affects your topology. I'll draw upwards from this center point here. You can see that the surface underneath your brush will be moved upwards, and its topology will remain fairly unchanged, while the areas surrounding it will be slightly deformed and stretched to make that move happen. This radius can of course be adjusted here on the left to change the size, but you can also alter the fall off of the brush within this upper tool settings menu, making differently shaped profiles. These will control what geometry is most affected while you sculpt. Let's try this round one here, and you can see how it can give you some really different results just from changing this one setting. Or if we tried something really unique, such as this pointed tip one at the bottom, you can start to get some dramatic results, all from the humble move tool, to really start to customize your shape in the way you're wanting to. For now, let's just stick to the classic. I'm going to use two fingers to undo that, and we'll move right along to the drag tool. Using the drag tool, I'll start to pull out my shapes as I was before. If we zoom in here, it looks almost the same as the move tool. But when I start to pull my geometry a little further, and when I twist my brush, you can see how much more freedom I have with my movement. The drag tool moves geometry around in a much more aggressive and fluid fashion when compared to the move tool. It's important to note here that the geometry does not always like to be stretched as far as the drag tool can take it, but I'll show you how to fix that in a bit. Just like with the move tool, I'm able to pull out my silhouette and start to twist and customize my shape. And as you can imagine, this is a great way to get your shape blocked out quickly and with great control. You can already start to see that my geometry is starting to get pretty stretched out, especially in these areas where I was twisting and pulling it really far away from the original surface. If things are ever getting out of hand, which they often do with this tool, I recommend using the additional quad remesh tool to fix your geometry quickly. It isn't always a cure-all, especially in areas where you're stretching things pretty far, but these can always be fixed with some smoothing using our quick access smooth tool. There. Now we have a fun shape to start the next phase of the grab tool. The use I just showed you was essentially the same use as the move tool, but the grab tool has a superpower that's unlocked when you sculpt in the right mode. Looking in this upper geometry mode menu, you can see we've been sculpting inside of the default multi-resolution mode. If we switch this over to Dyne Topo, short for dynamic topology, we can get some dramatic results and unlock the full potential of the grab tool. Starting fresh here, I'll pull out the geometry once more. Now you can see that the grab tool works almost like a hook. The grab tool works by continuously pulling at the nearest geometry to stretch outward from. Since the dynamic topology mode allows the model to continuously generate new topology, it allows the grab tool to have fresh surface area to pull from. Keep in mind that this mode can generate some strange topology, especially when you start to mix triangular and quad meshes. But of course, this can always be remedied later using the quad remesh tool. This method of using the grab tool gives you a whole new way of sculpting that's much more fluid. This approach allows you to freely smear your shapes and rely on relatively endless, expansive geometry. Of course, there's a limit to this, since there's only so far you can pull before things come to a point and cannot be pulled further. Then, of course, we can go into our quad remesh to clean up our form. You can see now that we have much more even geometry across all of these thin little branches, allowing us to move on into the next phase of our sculpts. And it was especially helpful in these areas where we had a mix of quads and triangles, which are now uniform. Now let's take a look at the in-context tool panel for these. Both have the same set of quick functions on the left. First is the normal. Back in my move tool here, if I drag out like this, you can see that I'm much more restricted in my movement. I can of course pull outwards, but if you watch my brush, when I pull things out and to the right, it ignores my sideways direction. It restricts my movement to only pull the surface either directly out from its normal direction or to push it straight in along the same axis. Here, this means I can move in and out, but not left and right. Whereas when I turn it back off, I can pull out from the normal direction, but then move it to any alternative direction that I please. I have total control over my movement once again. This toggle can be controlled using a keybind for easy access. I have a keybind for the add/sub toggle set to my pencil squeeze that we set up in our clay and brush walkthrough. The normal toggle for the move and drag tools uses this same keybind. So now, when I squeeze my pencil, I can easily switch from restricting movement to my normals or setting it free. You also, of course, have quick access to the Smooth tool, Mask tool, Hide tool, your gizmo, materials, and your very essential brush alphas. We'll get into all of these in greater detail in separate videos. Using these two tools can be really fun, especially to start to quickly block out your shapes and get the ball rolling. It can also be super helpful in certain applications to jump into dynamic topology mode with your model, to use the drag tool to drag your form into more expansive and expressive shapes. Remembering to use the quad remesh feature to retopologize your model and prep for further adjustment and texturing. Both of these tools will be used in each phase of your process. As you can see here, I'm still using the Move tool to adjust my forms and design my silhouette to be just the way I want it. You can start to understand how you can block out some really interesting forms just using these two essential tools. In the next video, we'll be talking about one of my most used tools, the Inflate tool, as well as the Crease and Pinch tools. These will help take your modeling to a new level and allow you to step into the world of texturing. Be sure to check out my breakdown of all the other tools in Nomad and my workflow walkthroughs as well. That's all for this video. I hope you found it helpful, and I'll see you in the next part. See you soon. Peace.